Whoa, that was weak. What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to another video. Today I wanted to be talking about the idea of excuses and why you need to stop making them, and why it is your time to lock in and start making things that reinforce why you can achieve your goals as opposed to why you can't. All excuses are doing for you is taking you farther away from your goals. And I don't need to be necessarily the person to tell you that. I think you know that. But subconsciously, we get into this frame of mind and we get into this process where a lot of the time we make excuses because it's a habitualized habit that we have acquired over a long period of time, right? We have become people that make excuses because of the things we think about, because of the ideologies that we follow, so on and so forth. And so my whole goal in this video is not to change you, but to just give you a different perspective on the world and maybe start to change a few of your thoughts, change a few of your words and your framing of the world that you live in order to be able to allow you to get closer to your goals. So very, very smart people know that it's not what you have, but it's what you're able to ultimately do with what you have, right? So it's not what you have, right? It's not the amount of money that you have, it's not the environment that you have, but it's the resources around you that will ultimately get you where you want to be, right? It's how you use them, right? It's not the necessary, it's not necessarily the thing itself, but it's how you use them. It's how you utilize the materials and the resources that you've been given by God and how you use them in the world that we know of, right? So it's not the quantity, right? I really want to touch on that idea that it's not the quantity, it's not, even necessarily the quality of the material or the resources that you have, but it's how you use them, right? You can take one individual that has $1,000, and due to the fact that he has $1,000, right, that's great, but he's not going to get anywhere close to his goals if he's not utilizing that $1,000 correctly. Whereas you take an individual that only has $5, that individual could get a hell of a lot farther if he actually utilized that $5 with the proper a precaution, if he used it with the proper plan, right? So my whole point here is that, again, although he has 5 and although he has 1,000, this individual might, because of his mindset, might because of his ideology, will use it better as opposed to the guy that has $1,000 but doesn't have the right ideology, doesn't have the right mindset. He likes to make excuses. He likes to tell himself why he can't do it, whereas the guy with the $5 tells him why he can do it. So I really want to touch on this idea that the outer always reflects the inner, okay? And what do I mean by that, right? Our outer external things that we partake in, right? Whether it be we drink, whether it be we make excuses, whether it be we smoke, whether it be we party, whether it be we're not disciplined in the right areas, whether it be we treat people poorly. These are a direct reflection of what is internally happening within us. So if we are internally pessimistic, if we are internally bringing ourselves down, if we internally have these thought processes and these ideologies that are not getting us closer to our goals, well, that's just going to be turned into an action. And so what I mean by that is your external, right, who you are as a person and how people perceive you is a lot of the time an inner reflection of who you are, right? So you can look at someone's habits, you can look at someone's actions and very quickly see what's kind of going on in their head, right? If you got someone that's super egotistical, someone that's got a big, broad kind of, bravado about them and they walk around trying to demean people, well, they're probably very insecure inside because they feel as though they have to externally put that out in the world to be strong, right? Because deep down within, they feel very weak. And so my point here is that if you're making excuses, it shows a lot about who you are as a person. And I'm not saying that can't change. The whole point of this video is to show you that you can change that ideology, you can change your mindset for the betterment of your future as a whole. But I promise you, if you're making excuses, it tells you something internally very deeply. It tells you that something is not right, something is wrong. It's a symptom of what is internally happening to you. And there's a little quote that I want to leave you guys with within this little spiel that I'm kind of going on with that says, "What you do speaks so loudly, I can't hear what you're saying." I'm going to say that again. What you do speaks so loudly, I can't hear what you're saying. And so what that means and what that little quote ultimately is trying to say, that statement, if you will, is that if you look at someone's actions, it'll speak a lot louder than their words, right? One individual may say, "Oh, I'm a great person," but they treat everybody like shit. One person may say, "Oh, I'm financially independent and I'm wealthy," but they spend every single dollar they make. And obviously, very clearly, you can indicate from their actions that their words defy what they're actually doing, right? It actually is not congruent or in any way the same as what they are actually doing. So that goes back into the idea of walking the walk, right? As opposed to talking the talk. You need to walk what it is that you're speaking. Actions speak a whole hell of a lot louder than words. And so what I mean by that is that we need to start actually partaking in the things that we're saying as opposed to saying them, right? We say them because it's gratifying. We say them because it's good, right? We say them because, it makes us feel good inside. But when in reality, if our actions are obviously being contradicting to that and they're not actually congruent with what we are saying, we're obviously not going to get any closer to our goals. So everything is just a symptom, right? Whatever you do in this world is a symptom of something that you are thinking about that is right within you, that is internally good, or that is wrong. And what I mean by wrong is that you have particular thoughts in your brain that are ultimately a symptom or will result in a symptom of you doing something bad in the world. So your thoughts are ultimately your perception of reality. Whatever you think, you will believe, and you will portray into the world. You will show people if you are truly a bad person, right? Not by your thoughts, right? That's where it originates, but by your actions. And those actions only come from you actually thinking bad thoughts, from you actually, partaking in these ideologies that are not serving you in any way. And so what I mean by that is that we need to fix the internal. We need to actually take a look at ourselves and ask ourselves, what are the excuses that I'm making? What are the things that I'm not doing that I should be doing? What are the actions that I'm actually partaking in that aren't getting me closer to my goals? Because once we break that down and once we quickly realize that the things that are internally within us are a direct result of the actions that we're partaking in, we can start to work on the internal, and as a result, thus change the external results that come from that. I hope that makes sense. So going back to the ideology of, people making a lot of excuses, I want to leave you with this little thing that a lot of people like to say, right? It's something that, maybe has not been said word for word. I'm sure it has been, but it's something that you can kind of pick up on what I'm trying to really convey in this message here. And it goes along the lines of, if I had more money, I would have a better plan, right? Let's break that down. Some people like to say, if I had more money, I would have a better plan. And obviously that's very futile. And what I mean by futile is that it does not get you anywhere, right? If I had more money, I would have a better plan. Well, that's just another excuse. Once again, you internally believe that if you had more money, right? If you had the means to make more money, right? You would have a better plan. That's an excuse. That's a reason for you not to go and make more money. That's a reason for you not to make a better plan. And so that whole point that I'm trying to make here is that all we have to do is we have to shift that mentality. We have to shift that perspective to something that is actually beneficial for us. That's something that is actually going to push us in the direction that we want, as opposed to push us in the opposite direction. So as opposed to saying, if I had more money, I would have a better plan, how about saying, if I had a better plan, I would have more money? And guys, that's what I really want to talk about here, is the whole idea that you need to be encompassing within your brain is that you need a better plan. You need to stop making excuses because it's not getting you anywhere. And you need to make a better plan as a result. So if we make a better plan, we're obviously going to get closer to our goal. We're going to be able to push ourselves in the direction that we want to go because we have a blueprint of how to act on a daily basis. If you don't have a blueprint to follow, how are you going to expect to achieve anything in this life? You can't. You're just going to be floating through the wind, floating through the day by day mundane, and you're not going to get anywhere. And so the whole basis here is to create a plan as opposed to creating excuses, because once again, excuses do nothing for you. They're just another reason why you believe you can't do something. And obviously, if you believe you can't do it, you're not going to do it. So we have to shift that and obviously just think of ways that we can do it. And how do we do that? We create a plan. Because I promise you, doing less than you can right now in this moment is having a effect on your psyche. It is shifting your perspective, it is shifting your mentality, it's shifting your reality as we speak right now. You not doing the best you can is making excuses. You not doing the best you can is making reasons up within your brain on why you can't have what you want. Guys, you can have everything you fucking want in this world, I promise you. If you just put your mind to it and you dedicate some time and effort and focus into something that you're actually passionate about, I promise the results are absolutely astounding. You will get closer to your goals. You just have to have the effort. You just have to have a strong enough reason why you're doing these things. What is it that you actually want? What is it that you actually want to achieve in this world? And then from there, you can actually act upon them. Excuses are not going to get you anywhere. People love making excuses. So blame is just another self-imposed limitation. What do I mean by that? If we are blaming external forces for why we can't have what we want, we are out of control. We don't have any power in any way. You are voluntarily giving your power away to these external forces by blaming them, by telling them or telling people that this is why you don't have what you have, telling yourself this is why you don't have what you have. You do realize very quickly that once you start to blame things and once you start to put all your effort into, condemning all the external forces that are the reasons why you're not achieving your goals, you quickly realize you have no power. You have nothing to actually work off of because you've given it all away. So what we need to do is we need to regain that power. And how we do that is we stop blaming other people. We stop blaming external forces. We stop blaming things and we start blaming ourselves. We start blaming ourselves for the reasons why we're not close to our goals. And I know that may trigger some of you. That may make you upset. That may be hard to hear. That may be a hard pill to swallow. But I promise you, when you start taking accountability for the things that you know you're not doing and that you continuously blame upon other things, you'll start to realize that you actually start to make progress and you feel better about yourself because you have more power. You have more control over your external and internal world. You are in control. I know sometimes we feel as though we have no control, right? It feels like so many things are out of our power and so many things are out of our grasp to actually manipulate and help get us to where we want to be. But I promise you, when you look at the things that you can actually control, you have a lot more control than you think. And then all those things that you're knowing full and well that you don't have control over, disregard them. Don't care about them because they're indifferent to you. They don't care about you. It's not as though you're going to be able to change them by condemning them or making them feel bad. They don't care. So my point with that is stop blaming them. Start looking at yourself and start blaming yourself for the actions that you're not taking. Start blaming yourself for the reasons why you're not where you want to be. And from there, you will gain your power back. So guys, better is not something you wish. Better is something that you become. Better is something that you actually conceptualize within your brain, within your body, within your mind, and within your soul, and you put out into the world. It's not something that you pray for. It's not something that you like. You guys can actually cultivate it. You can cultivate that better future for you. You can cultivate that better person for you. I know there's a version of you out there that can be so much better than what you are right now. And I know that for myself. I know that for myself on a daily basis. I am constantly chasing the man I was the day before. I am constantly trying to improve and be better than the guy that I was before. I am in no way, shape, or form competing against other individuals because I know that doesn't give me any power. The power that is within me is competing against myself, is competing against the man I was yesterday. And how I do that is I look at the areas that I need to improve in. I look at the areas that I can get better in, as opposed to looking at the external areas that are out of my control and that I have no say in. So a lot of people say, well, then how will my life change? And the answer is very simple. When you change, when you actually make that change within yourself is when you and your future will change. It's not going to happen by chance. It's going to happen when you actually make the effort to change. So therefore, happiness and success are not things or values that you are there to pursue. They are values that are to be cultivated. They are values that are to be created. They are values that are to be habitualized within thyself. And what I mean by that is it is not something that just randomly comes into your life at a random time. You are the one that ultimately gets to depict your happiness. You are the one that ultimately gets to depict your success. And by making excuses, you're obviously you're demeaning yourself and you're getting yourself that much farther away from actually being able to cultivate and develop those habits. So if you have to ask yourself, right, a simple question, right? Ask yourself, how do I develop an above average income? How do I develop an above average happiness? How do I develop an above average enthusiasm for life? Well, how about become an above average person? It's very simple. You understand once you actually get this method in your head and you actually get this ideology in your head that you are the one that ultimately can become an above average person to have these above average things. It's not just going to happen by chance, as I had mentioned prior. It is a value that you develop. It is a value that you cultivate within thyself. So if I could leave you with one last statement, it would be, you can have more than what you've got because you can become more than what you are. Let me say that one more time. You can have more than what you've got because you can become more than what you are, okay? And what I mean by that is you are the person that has the power to change. You are the person that has the power to not make these excuses. You are the person that has the power to stop putting your effort and your energy towards blaming external forces and start blaming yourself for the things that you have not achieved or have not gotten any closer to. You have the power. You can cultivate it, and I promise you, if you start putting the blame on yourself and you stop making excuses for why you're not where you want to be, you will be exactly where you want to be. And I know that's hard to really believe, and that's hard to actually, understand within this video, but I promise you, if you work on it, you habitualize it, and you stop making excuses for the things that are out of your control, and you start focusing on things that you can control, you will have every single goal, every single belief, every single, dream that you wanted actually come to fruition that way. I hope that wasn't sloppy. I hope this gave a good perception of what it means to actually live a good, fulfilling life. And I believe in all of you, and I think you can really do it. So God bless all of you. Take care.